If you can only go with one of the two major companies, which one you going with? Sig or Glock? Stay tuned. Yo, what's up, gun family? It's your boy Grayman47. Yo, I'm back on the scene with another video. Hey y'all, I got a quick one for you today. I get a lot of questions from people about Sigs and Glock, or Sig versus Glock. Which one would they go with? Those are two very popular brands, as you all know. Both of them used by military and law enforcement all around the world. So if you could only buy one of these brands, which one you going with, Sig or Glock? So I'm gonna look at 8 quick categories and I'm gonna compare them. And there's no quantitative or qualitative data that I'm gonna use to make my decisions. It's basically my personal opinion. You can use these same 8 categories and make a decision on your own and then drop it down in the comment section. So this is just my personal opinion. The personal opinion of Grayman47 when it comes to Sigs versus Glock. All right, so my 8 categories are, let me tell you here what they are going to be. Those 8 categories are going to be reliability, grip angle, sights, triggers, modularity, magazines, aftermarket support, and price. So those are the 8 categories that I'm going to take in consideration when making my decision whether I'm going with Sig or Glock. I do have some experience with both of those two companies right here, and all of my guns are clear. I've checked them. I made them safe before videoing this or filming this video. So I got a couple of Sigs on hand right now. I got the Sig 365. Also, I got the Sig 320X Compact. This is also a major player in my EDC rotation as well. The Glock 17 Gen 5 edition. I have a Glock 21 of the 4th generation. These two Glocks are two of my favorite models that Glock makes, the 21 and 17. If I could only choose 2 Glocks, these two would be the 2 that I would select. The 21 I use for my nightstand gun, as you've seen in my other videos, and the 17, I actually used to carry this as an EDC for quite some time, but I ended up using it as a stash gun somewhere in my house. 2 of my favorite Sigs, and I have a lot of favorite Sigs, but 2 of my favorite Sigs are the X20, the 320X Compact and the 365, both in my rotation, like I said.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
All right, so let's start with the first category. The first category is reliability. So here it is. Both of these guns, like I said at the beginning of this video, are used in military and law enforcement agencies all across the world. So the reliability for both of these pistols are absolutely phenomenal. Top-notch, high-level reliability. I have shot all of my Sigs, and these aren't the Sigs that I just showed you aren't the only Sigs that I've ever owned, and the Glocks that I actually showed you are not the only Glocks that I've ever owned or shot. I cannot recall having a malfunction on either one of my Sigs, either one of my Glocks, and I'll just kind of run down the line real quick. I've owned the Glock, obviously these two 2117. I've also owned the 19. I've owned the 26. I've owned the Model 30, and I have yet to have one malfunction that I can recall on any of those pistols. I've owned, a number of different Sigs. The 2 that I just showed you there, also the 229. I also own, and I've also owned the 226 as well. And I've shot a number of other Sigs, and I cannot remember or recall a function problem, a failure to feed, a failure to eject, any of those things, stovepipes, none of those things in any of those guns. So again, guys, without going into too much detail, I think both of these two are at the highest level of reliability, and you can't go wrong with either one if you're talking about reliability. All right, so I'm going to give both of those 2 things a tie. To me, that's a tie. You can't go wrong with either one of it when it comes to reliability. Next category, grip angle. The grip angle is a big deal for me, and I know a lot of people talk about the grip angle between the Glock and a number of other different pistols, in particular the Sig. When you are shooting a Glock, it kind of forces you to cant your wrist just a little bit more to properly grip it. Some people love that steepness of that grip angle or the grip angle of the Glock. Some people hate it. If you compare that to the grip angle of the Sig Sauer, it does not force your hand to kind of cant a little bit more. It's more of a natural straight up and down grip. Between the two of these, I gotta say I can shoot both of them fairly well, pretty well. But I have to say personally, I like the grip angle, the more natural grip angle of the Sig a little bit better than that of the Glock. If you're used to shooting a Sig and you shoot a Sig quite a bit and then you move over to a Glock, again, that grip angle requires you to cant it a little bit more. You might find yourself pointing it a little bit higher because you're used to that natural grip angle of the Sig. For me personally, again, this is Greatman 47's personal opinion. For me, I'm going to give the win in terms of grip angle to the Sig. Next one is sights. This is an easy, quick one. The sights that come on most Glocks, we all know that front dot and that gold post plastic sight that typically comes with the Glock is just totally unacceptable for the amount of money and the quality of this pistol. You can get some that come that way. This came with the plastic night sights. I switched them out for some HD Trijicon tritium night sights. So the sights that come with Glocks typically, for the most part, are terrible. The sights that come with most SIGs, if not all SIGs, I'm trying to think of SIGs that don't, any ones that I can think of that don't have already good night sights. I think they're called X-ray sights from SIG, the proprietary SIG night sights. They are already quality, metal night sights that come with it. Even the 365 came with those night sights that I just mentioned. So I'm gonna give the edge to sights to SIG as well. That's an easy no-brainer. The next one is trigger. I gotta say the trigger for me, I'm not a big trigger snob. I'm not a huge person that really focuses on how good a trigger is or how smooth the trigger is. But for me, I think the trigger that comes with the Glock is pretty good. It's mediocre, nothing special. It does have that safety in the middle of it. You have to depress that lever down in the middle of the trigger in order to make it go bang. The reset on it is pretty good on there. Nothing, like I said, to write home about. The triggers that come on SIGs to me typically are a little bit better. This particular one this model happens to come with a flat trigger. A lot of them do not come with the flat trigger. They come with more of a curved trigger, but I think that the trigger pull on the SIGs might be just a little bit better than that of the Glock. So I'm going to edge out the Glock on the trigger as well. As far as modularity is concerned, what can I change out? And this might even be kind of an unfair category because, as we know, for the most part, Glocks aren't too modular in terms of changing the frame out, changing the internals out, the slides, just kind of making the gun a little different than it originally came. So it really doesn't have much on that. Whereas the SIG, you can do a lot of different changing things out. You can change this frame out. I can get a different SIG frame with a different texture on it. Different cuts on it, things like that. I can also get like a Wilson Combat frame as well. I can take the internals out of this, put it in a larger frame, get a bigger slide. So it is very modular in that sense. With even the 365, you can change out the internals and change out the frame as well as the slide with a number of different options. Magazines. The magazines are quite different between the Glock and the SIG. The magazines of the SIG are plastic, so much different in terms of weight. Although they are polymer magazines, they are very, very sturdy. Glock magazines are like the industry standard in terms of reliability and quality, so they are polymer. All right, in comparison to those magazines that come with Sig Sauer, they are metal magazines, and they are also extremely well made and just great quality. I think there's a difference between ones that are made in Italy, like this one is made in Italy. I think there is a difference between those compared to others that are out there. But these actual manufactured Sig Sauer magazines are very, very well built. When it comes to price on magazines, the magazines for Sig Sauer are extremely expensive in comparison to Glock. So I'm going to give Glock the edge because of the durability, reliability, and also price compared to that of the Sig. The price, I think, is the differentiating point between the two. Aftermarket Support, as we know, both of these, like I said, are well known around the world. They both have an enormous level of aftermarket support. The Glock, I'm going to say you can find aftermarket support for Glock for every part, for every piece, for everything for the Glock. I mean, Glocks are used around the world so much that there are so many companies that make aftermarket products for this gun. Frames, you can find different sights, you can find different slides. They make every light that, every light pretty much is made to fit a Glock. I mean, just you can go on and on and on about the aftermarket support of Glock. Sig, again, does have a lot of aftermarket support, but not quite as much. If you're looking for something in terms of aftermarket support for these, you're going to have to look a little bit harder. Again, you're not going to have to put in too much effort, but you're going to have to look a little bit harder and in a few different places than that of the Glock. So aftermarket support goes to the Glock. All right. Final category is price. Let's talk about price on these two things. The average Glock is going to run you a little bit more, or I'm sorry, a little bit less in terms of price at your dealer than your Sig. The Sigs are definitely going to be a little bit more expensive. Some people call the Sigs the Cadillacs of pistols. So they do cost a little bit more. I have to say that overall, the fit and finish of Sigs, and I'm comparing polymer frame Sigs. I'm not even talking about the aluminum frame Sigs that are out there. I'm talking about polymer versus polymer. I would say that the fit and finish and quality feel of the Sig is going to probably edge out that of the Glock. The Glock, some people call the block, it's a little bit more blocky. It's not as, in my opinion, as ergonomic as your average Sig is. So the Sig does cost a little bit more. I'm gonna say maybe a difference of $150 to $200 for similar or alike guns. So if you're buying, for example, this might be in the same class as the Glock 19. So your Glock 19 might be, $550, whereas this might be $800 to $900. So there is going to be a considerable difference in terms of price when it comes to the Sig versus the Glock. So as far as price goes, I'm giving the price to Glock. Out of these 8 categories, 1 of them was a tie. 3 went to Sig. The grip angle, sights, and trigger went to Sig. And also modularity went to Sig as well. Magazine, aftermarket support, and price, all 3 went to Glock. So that gives the win to Sig Sauer. So Sig Sauer is my winner of today's competition. Again, this is my personal opinion, GreatMan47. You might see it totally different. If you disagree or agree, do me a favor, drop it down there in that comment section. I love to hear what you guys have to say, Glock or Sig. All right, y'all. So again, thank you for riding with me on another one. I appreciate that as always. Hey, look, if you ain't packing, you're slacking. I see you when I see you. Peace.